if she can do it, so can I. So I'm like, why am I doubting myself doing something that I actually love? And I left, found a place to live. It was a shack, bugs, like a window shaker, no heat. It was February, I was freezing. It was horrible. I spent a month in that shack and I built my business from like $45 my first month, and I hit 11 grand that month. And I just remember it being like, you can either be crying and heartbroken and sad, or you can just channel that energy into something like productive and just become so relentless that you make it work. And it worked. Everything ended with my son's dad very suddenly. I actually wound up on Gigi's couch, hysterically crying.
Our mutual friends put us on the same group chat. And so she's like, guys, I'm just like having one of those days today where I'm so upset, I can't stop crying. And I was like, come over here. Like, you can't be by yourself feeling that way. So she did. She came over and I made her tea. And we just like sat in the living room and talked. And I'm like, spill it. Give out to me.
Balls my eyes out on how just
your body, like, release it. I think it's important. Like, a lot of people, when they're going through something, they almost like bury the feelings of what they're going through and just keep moving. And I think it's really important to sit in those feelings and process them and deal with them and release them.
It's going to come out eventually.
Yes.
It's very healthy to let it out,
Yeah.
you know, and especially to let it out to someone that's not going to judge or even give you advice, just someone that's going to listen. Like, and then that release of that allows you to get the baggage off of you so then you can go on about your life.
I became like obsessed with it. And that's when I realized like I'm never going to be successful at something on my own if I'm not obsessed with it. And the level of obsession I had for tattooing was almost like unhealthy, but like I loved it.
One of my favorite quotes is obsessed is the word that the lazy describe the dedicated. Oftentimes people can't relate to someone being obsessed of something because they don't have purpose in their own life to be obsessed about something.
Yeah.
So when you find that thing that you have purpose for, get obsessed about it.
Yeah.
Because that's how you're going to accelerate it. If you're not obsessed, then it's just going to be a hobby.
I feel like it's really important, like turning your pain into purpose. You're going to go through pain in life no matter what. It's inevitable. You can't avoid it. But how do you respond to that is everything. A lot of people, what I notice is they get stuck in like the victim mentality. Like, why is this happening to me? Why am I going through this? And it's like, why is it happening for you? Like, what is this teaching you right now?
Right.
What is a lesson that's coming out of this? How are you going to turn whatever you're going through into the best thing that ever happened to you?
Don't compromise who you are. Don't compromise your morals, and just stay very consistent. And eventually your life will be whatever you want it to be.
Make a decision and then go after it. Like, go after it. Be your authentic self and go after it, because if you sit around and wait, life's just going to pass you by and you're going to, play victim, and that never works out. All right, I want y'all to introduce yourselves, first and foremost, and just go. So Gigi, tell a little bit about what you do, who you are, just a little bit.
Okay.
Or I'll tell it for you if you want me to.
I'm Gigi. I met Manning like 10 years ago, maybe.
Longer than that, I think.
12?
2011, I thought, right? Something like that?
Like right when you opened your gym, the original, the OG wear.
Yeah. I think it was like 2 years after I opened, so we met.
I met Manning because I used to take his classes back then. I used to drive all the way from Fort Lauderdale. So that's how we met. I do real estate. That's my day-to-day. I'm a pre-construction expert in Fort Lauderdale, and I also partnered with Manning to have the opportunity to open a legacy in Fort Lauderdale.
And it's been amazing. She's been amazing to work with. And I find it to be like, what's interesting is it was a lot of blind faith, I think. Mm-hmm. That it was like, like, I don't really know what the outcome's going to be, but I believe in you and I believe in what you're trying to accomplish. So I want to do it with you. And then we did it. And then I think we exceeded both of our expectations.
Yeah.
And now we're expanding Fort Lauderdale location by 5,000 square feet to get in line with the vision of the brand, taking it to more of a HQ style that we're doing in Little River and Nashville and Aventura. So it's just a part of the growth process. And it's been fun to see somebody that was a part of like the membership, like being a member and then being a part owner and then helping me, grow the brand. It's been, I love taking people that saw it in the beginning and get to go on the ride, because it's a ride, it's a journey. There's no such thing as like, you don't win in business, right? It just goes and goes and goes. So Stevie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, I love Legacy, and I go to the Fort Lauderdale location, and it has literally been such a lifesaver for me. Like, literally, Gigi kept telling me to go. She's like, go to my gym. And I was like, whatever. Because I was always kind of a gym snob, not even kind of, a serious gym snob, because I used to work in the bodybuilding industry. So I was like, all right, I'll go. And it's hands down the best gym I've ever been to. And I've been to gyms all over the country. Like, I'm obsessed. So my name is Stevi. I own a company called Ink Angel, and we do cosmetic tattooing. Our studio's in Fort Lauderdale. I am a boy mom. My son's 4. And,
amazing.
I love to work out and just work and live my life.
Awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about the journey of opening up Ink Angel, because I know that's kind of like, and again, if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of like why you wanted to kind of jump on here.
Yeah.
It's a little, really, tell people about that journey of opening up a business and being a mom and owning a business. And, and I'm sure Gigi has been a part of that as well. And that's why you wanted her here. So let's just dive in. Like, when was the first Ink Angel born? Like, how did it all come about? Like, tell me a little bit about the business.
So Ink Angel, it was crazy. I was in the bodybuilding industry, and I was at a pretty high level. I was the sales director for one of the largest bodybuilding supplement companies in the world. And I stopped because I got pregnant. And I was like, I can't be traveling, though I am traveling, and under this crazy amount of pressure. And corporate was great, but like, it was corporate.
Right.
You only get 2 weeks paid vacation. And I was like, if I'm going to be working 80 hours a week, I'd rather just do something for myself.
Yep.
And I had dabbled in some entrepreneurial ventures. Nothing really worked out, but I always liked makeup and I always loved tattooing. I thought tattooing was just so badass. So,
do you have a lot of tattoos?
Little ones. Yeah.
Little tattoos?
Little ones,
Nice.
yeah.
I like the little tattoos. Especially on females. They're very cute.
Yeah.
Sexy. It's like cute and sexy.
Yeah. They're so much fun.
Yeah.
And it was during COVID. I had no job. I had no income. And I was staying home. My son's father was like, stay home and be a mom. And that was like a dream come true for me. Because how many times are you going to be able to just be with your baby during COVID when everything was quiet?
Right.
I actually liked that time. And so I stayed home, and then we started having issues. It just became a toxic situation. And in my mind, I was like, I have to start planning, for an income.
Just so I understand, it was a toxic situation with the baby daddy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I started, realizing me staying at home and not having a source of income was not a very smart situation. And I didn't want to go back to corporate. I just didn't. I fell in love with being a mom and having that time with my son.
Right.
So I decided to get certified. I learned how to tattoo eyebrows, and it was kind of like a joke, to be honest. I was like, I don't know, let's see how this goes. Literally, the first pair of eyebrows I did, I felt like I was born. It was like this moment where I was like, I love this. I freaking love it. And then the girl...
Are y'all's eyebrows tattooed?
Yeah.
Both of y'all?
Yeah.
Both of you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at them, and I cannot tell. I mean, I don't know what it's supposed to look like, but they look great.
That's the whole point.
All right. Well, they look great, ladies. So
Thank you.
I never would have even dream that they were tattooed. Yeah.
We have face tattoos, so technically we're more badass than all of you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he has face tattoos, so.
Oh, you do?
Neck tattoos.
Oh, see, yeah, that's
off on his
I love the tattoo placement
Shout
here.
out to Oscar.
Yeah, Oscar, love that. You're giving me actually
You don't have any face tattoos, man. All right, not yet.
not yet.
The pit bull is going on his forehead soon, but
Oh my god, I need to see that. You should just get like a little pit bull right.
a little cute little pit bull right there.
That would be
A little tear fit.
That is wild. That is so wild. Like it shows you what y'all can do with cosmetics and
Crazy.
tattoos. That's really cool.
It's crazy. We tattoo lips, eyebrows, scalp. I do face, like eyeliner, freckles, blush. You can do anything.
Oh my God, hearing you say freckles cracks me up because
Yeah.
so many women,
Remove them.
they do the well, not only that, but then they do the filter that gives them freckles.
Yeah. I give them a freckle filter all the time.
That's funny.
She literally like puts it on their like all these little freckles, and I'm like, I can't believe, like, I would never think that someone would ask for freckles.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
She does scalp
Micropigmentation.
micropigmentation, where like
Is that for like bald guys? Like
Yeah, a hairline.
so she basically
five
creates the
shadow.
hairlines.
Yeah.
It looks like they just shaved their head. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff she's like gotten into with the tattooing.
I became like obsessed with it. And that's when I realized like I'm never going to be successful with something on my own if I'm not obsessed with it. And the level of obsession I had for tattooing was almost like unhealthy. And then, but like I loved it.
Yeah.
And so
The
my
right
son-
obsession is not unhealthy, though.
No, it was like
what I mean?
my obsession for fitness or my son.
Yeah.
It was just something I really fell in love with.
I think the word obsessed is often looked at as a negative thing.
Yeah.
And I actually disagree with that. I think obsessed, one of my favorite quotes is obsessed is the word that the lazy describe the dedicated. You know what I mean?
love that.
So it's like
Yeah.
oftentimes people can't relate to someone being obsessed of something because they don't have purpose in their own life to be obsessed about something.
Yeah.
So when you find that thing that you have purpose for, get obsessed about it.
Yeah.
Because that's how you're going to accelerate it. If you're not obsessed, then it's just going to be a hobby. But
Yeah.
you've made it into a career.
Yeah.
And that's the only way you can do these kind of like entrepreneurial things is if you're obsessed about it and you go after it like nothing you've ever gone after in your life. And then that way you can turn it into a real business, which it sounds like you have. So
Well, it was funny.
expand on that.
Well, it's funny because I never really posted on social media. I wasn't really a social media person. Being in the bodybuilding industry, I was around a bunch of men and they were awesome, but that's what I was used to being around. And when I started posting on social media, these before and afters of eyebrows, you know, you get all the people who are like, what is she thinking? Has she lost her damn mind?
Yeah.
Because I was good at what I did sales wise. I could have gone back and done that. So I started working and practicing, getting really good. And then everything ended with my son's dad very suddenly. I actually wound up on Gigi's couch, hysterically crying. That's how we became good friends.
We were mutual friends, like our girls group. We were on the same text message thread,
Like a group chat.
and
For like moms or
no, just like with our
five
girls.
friends.
But her and I had only met like once, I think, prior.
Okay.
And so, but our other friends, mutual friends, put us on the same group chat. And so she's like, guys, I'm just like having one of those days today where I'm so upset. I can't stop crying. And I was in my office that day and I was like, come over here. Like, you shouldn't be by yourself feeling that way, you know? So she did. She came over and I made her tea and we just like sat in the living room and talked and I'm like, spill it. Give it out to me.
Bawled my eyes out on how just
Your body, like, release it.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's how we became like friends.
Yeah.
And we just got into like a very deep conversation and I knew what she was going through because I had been there myself at one point.
Yep.
So I related to it entirely and just gave her like the best advice I could give her, you know? And I think it's important that when you're going, like a lot of people, when they're going through something, they almost like bury the feelings of what they're going through and just keep moving. And I think it's really important to sit in those feelings and process them and deal with them and release them so you can keep going.
It's going to come out eventually.
Yes.
And so if you can, to go back to your point of like unhealthy and healthy, it's very healthy to let it out.
Yeah.
You know, and especially to let it out to someone that's not going to judge or
Yeah.
even give you advice, just someone that's going to listen. Like oftentimes we just need people just to listen. We don't need advice. We don't want you to come back and tell us how to fix it. No, we just want to tell you everything and just get it off our chest.
Yeah.
And not be judged and not be like, you know, so like, and then that release of that allows you to get the baggage off of you. So then you can go on about your life. Like you can like almost like, it's like dumping it off like if you're driving and you just dump it out of the car and then you just keep going, you know, but if you hold it in the trunk, then eventually it's going to pop out.
Yeah. And I think the problem is too, like, I'm a doer. Like, I want to know, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I had this moment for me to text, like, I was in a place, like, I was in a very bad place because I'm not really someone to just cry. I'm always like, just go, like, just figure it out. And I didn't know what to do. It was a very sudden ending. I don't really want to get into it about my son's dad, but like, it was just like, one day I'm at home with my son. The next day I'm sleeping in my car and I had nowhere to go. And my son wasn't even 2 years old yet. I had no income. I had just started Powder Brows. I had just started my business and I just didn't know what to do. You know, how do I get food stamps? How do I get a government assistance? It was the end of COVID. I couldn't even find a hotel room. I had no money.
Right.
So talking to Gigi made me understand, you know, she's in here in her beautiful home with her daughter. And I had no idea she had been through what she went through. And she gave me this pep talk. And I walked into her home feeling a little lost and unsure of myself. And then I left and I'm like, you know what? If she can do it, so can I. If these other girls are able to do cosmetic tattooing with no business background like I had, you know, here I am selling millions, like $1 million worth of product. Like I used to sell stuff like this all the time. Yeah. That was nothing to me. So I'm like, why am I doubting myself doing brows, something that I actually love? And I left, found a place to live. It was a shack, literally a shack. I spent a month in that shack and I built my business from like $45 my first month. I was in that shack, like literally was an abandoned like little place. It was probably not bigger than this. Bugs, like a window shaker, no heat. It was February. I was freezing. It was horrible. And I hit 11 grand that month.
Amazing.
And I remember like my son, like only had childcare from like 9 to noon. His dad was doing his own thing, you know, newly single. And I just remember being like, you can either be crying and heartbroken and sad, or you can just channel that energy into something like productive and just become so relentless that you make it work. And it worked. And then slowly but surely, my business kept growing, clients kept booking, and I went from being in that little, you know, shack to eventually getting my apartment. And now I have a facility where we have like multiple rooms and I have 3 artists. I have a operations director. Like we have an actual business. And like I was literally sitting in my studio the other day like, I can't believe that I'm here. Like my life is so drastically different from, it wasn't even 3 years ago that I was like, my life is just completely different now. And I'm so thankful for that. And thankful to Gigi because you literally like her pep talk. She's like, listen, I did this, you could do it. And I felt so empowered when I walked out. I like walked in this like broken little bird and I left like this like eagle, like ready to just fuck shit up. Yeah. I love that.
Was there anything specific that she said that really resonated with you? You know, like, did you walk away and say, you know, this one thing kind of like hit me in a different way? You know, a lot of times people can give you a pep talk, but there's always that one kind of gem that you're like, the light bulb goes off for you and you can take it and then harness it and then apply it to your own life. Is there anything that you felt like sticks out like that she said?
The fact that she did it on her own and that she wasn't afraid to also ask for help. Because that was one thing that you told me is like, don't be afraid to ask people for help, you know, for your business, for your life. Because I'm that type of person, like I would rather cut my own arm off than ask somebody for money or ask somebody for help or anything.
Right.
And that was something very valuable that I learned from her is like texting the group was a big step for me as a person. And then going there and realizing like, wow, she's actually happy to have me here and I'm not a burden. And when I left, that was probably the biggest thing that you gave me was our friendship, first of all. And then just like the fact that you made it by working really hard and just not giving up.
So I think what I hear, like the first step to any person that's feeling alone, dark, lost or whatever is reaching out.
Yeah.
You can't sit in the space of isolation. You have to get yourself out of that and reach out to someone, and someone in your life wants to help you.
Yeah.
Like there's always people.
You know what I mean? There's someone out there that you can reach out to, and don't worry about the response. Just reach out. Like, because here's the deal. Let's say they don't respond, or let's say they don't respond in the way you want them to. Who cares? Like, are you worse for that or better for that? Like, you're probably in the same scenario, if anything. So I would say to people is keep reaching out, keep trying to find someone that can help you. Everyone has a mentor, everyone has friends, everyone has, and then if you say to yourself, I don't have anybody or whatever, well then go ask a stranger. Yeah. Like, literally. I mean, that's what homeless people do all day long is talking to strangers. So
support groups.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. There's just
things. And I feel like when you, it's really important what Stevi was saying with like turning your pain into purpose. You're going to go through pain in life no matter what. It's inevitable. You can't avoid it. But how do you respond to that is everything. Like how you respond to the problems that come into your life or the issues that come into your life, your response is everything. So a lot of people, what I notice is they get stuck in like the victim mentality. Like, why is this happening to me? Why am I going through this? And it's like, why is it happening for you? Like, what is this teaching you right now? Right. What is a lesson that's coming out of this? Because everything is happening for you to level up in some kind of way. So that was like kind of my conversation with her. It's like, hey, I can relate to everything that you've gone through, but like, how are you gonna respond to this? Because everyone has the tools to become whatever they want to become. It's really what they're willing to do to access those tools, whether it's books, whether it's, you can Google anything. Like you can literally get information is so abundant these days. So it's like, how are you going to turn whatever you're going through into the best thing that ever happened to you? Like, because in my experience, I'm grateful for every bad thing that I've gone through. And literally it's been painful, it's been hard, but I'm grateful for it because everything came with a life-changing lesson for me, everything that I've gone through. And so that was kind of like my conversation with her. And I think also providing like safe space for someone is so important because in her talking and even in her sharing what she was going through with me, it's almost like she gained clarity. And just releasing everything, she was able to get like the questions and all the crazy stuff out of her head and just find clarity and like, okay, this is where I'm going to start. I have to start somewhere. This is where I'm going to start. And then of course, like from a woman to a woman, mother to mother, like I always want to help people. It's just who I am as a person and it's in my nature. Like I always want to see people thrive and succeed, especially a single mom. Right. Because I can relate to what it takes and the difficulty that comes with like pushing through life when you have a little child, So I think that's where we kind of like really connected. And then we were able to find a way for her to like get back on her feet, and I thought that was really important, especially because she's a mom,
And I think also like seeing, I'll speak for myself. When I first met Gigi, you make assumptions. Oh, your mom's successful, your family's successful, you probably had certain things handed to you. And you just think certain things. When you see a pretty girl, you assume she probably didn't have like a rough, I don't even know why I would think that, but like I just never realized how hard of a road you had.
Yeah.
Like you really had a hard road.
Nothing was ever handed.
Nothing.
People make that assumption, but the thing is
nothing.
Like, if I ever ask my mom for money, she just laughs. Like she's just like, I came here as an immigrant with 2 kids.
Exactly.
And I didn't speak English, and you've gone to school here, you've graduated from a university, you've had the tools. Like my mom, if I ask her for money, I just have to hear like an hour long of why she's not giving me a penny, And that was my experience, when I became a single mom. Like I had no money, all my bank accounts in the red. And it was a very similar experience. And again, it's just like I didn't really, have time to sit there and dwell in that. I was like, all right, time to go to work. Like it's time to do whatever I have to do. And I did. And I was like bartending at 2 different clubs. And I was also doing like go-go dancing at Lib when it first like opened.
Yep.
And, and I just did whatever.
You're still go-go dancing at Legacy, so still using those skill sets.
And so, I just did whatever I had to do to make money. And, thank God I was able to make enough of it to sustain me building my real estate career. Because my first year of real estate, I only made $12,000.
Yeah.
Like it was nothing. It was like frustrating, because the first couple of years while you're building yourself up, it's really difficult. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about South Florida. You have over 100,000 realtors just in the between Palm Beach to Miami.
It's probably 3 times that amount now, right?
Probably. But so I, again, like I had to find a way to make money and put food on the table and at the same time build my business. So it was like I was just like blinders, completely focused. And then I landed my first project, and after that it was game over.
That's another thing. That's another thing, Gigi, that I remember us talking about, that a light bulb went off. You just reminded me, because like everyone and their mother does brows.
Yeah.
So I would hear all the time, how are you going to do it? Everybody does that. What are you thinking? You're getting into this industry. You've never even done anything in the beauty industry. And then hearing Gigi share her story about the same thing, like the first year was difficult and you just have to outwork everybody. You have to set yourself apart. And it's almost like a cool thing that it's such a saturated industry, because that means it's that lucrative, but it also means that it's that much more difficult. And once you get to a certain level, like the competition pool shrinks a lot because not everybody gets to that level. That was another thing that inspired me, is your story about real estate. Because I was like, well, real estate, brows, totally different industries, but they're both very saturated, where everyone, I feel like a lot of realtors do brows as well.
Yeah.
It just crosses. But
I think every industry to a certain degree is competitive. I mean, it's like
super,
like the gym, the fitness industry, the beverage industry.
Yeah.
Like there's competition everywhere. And I think that, I like what Gigi said, you put blinders on and you go for you. You don't worry about the competition. You don't worry about what other people are doing. If you focus on what you're doing, if you focus on being the most significant in what you do, then the cream always rises to the top, right?
Yeah.
Like people that do it the right way, that do it with excellence, that do it with professionalism, that do it with customer service, the voice, the reputation will get out, the reviews will get out. Like you'll build a business.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time, not necessarily what it is. It's just a matter of how long it takes, right? So.
And I remember too, I would have moments where that little shack taught me so much about life. Like I go back, it's almost like when those Buddhist monks, they go away and they do a retreat, almost had that retreat by fire. Because I remember almost every single night I'd be so tired. My son would be sleeping. He was really clingy and it was really cold. So he'd be next to me.
Yeah.
And I would put the comforter over my head and work on my laptop to not wake him up.
Right.
And I remember having these moments where I would just be falling asleep and I would just tell myself literally out loud, I'd be like, this is when your competition would give up. This is exactly when they would give up. Keep going. And eventually I beat everyone that I could beat. And then now it's not about beating my competition. It's just beating myself.
Right.
And just keep continuing to go and work harder. But any industry worth being in is going to be saturated. Yep. Period.
Exactly.
So
what where's the physical location now?
It's on East Commercial in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
So I had a little studio before to myself, and now we're on East Commercial.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what's the plans moving forward?
I want to monetize every aspect of the business. So I train a lot now. So I only tattoo a few days a week now, and my team tattoos the majority of the time.
Okay.
But if somebody really wants to book with me, they can. But I'm booked out at least 2 months in advance. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's great.
I remember when I couldn't even get one client.
Right.
So now I focus more on training.
Okay.
So I hold classes once a quarter for either lips or brows. I do a mentorship program so I can help women who don't have the business experience that I had, scale their business in the beauty industry. I'm working on some digital products. So I want to have like a full digital catalog where if somebody can't physically make it to me to train, they can actually go online. We're finishing our website now with like a whole facelift.
Yeah.
And then physical products are going to be coming down the road too. Amazing. So I want to monetize everything I can about the brand.
And it's all under Ink Angel?
All under Ink Angel.
Very cool, very cool.
So, yeah.
So you're building a brand.
Yeah, it's a blast. I love it.
Brand building business.
Yeah, it's a blast. I'm taking a lot of stuff that I learned from before and just applying it to my company now. Like I remember being in corporate being like, oh my God, I have to sit through another slideshow presentation about like our marketing strategy. I'm just gonna like die. All the corporate buzzwords. But I've learned so much from that that it's become so helpful to my business now.
And how long were you in the shack?
It was just over 30 days.
30 days?
31 days, yeah.
She got that 11,000. She's like, I'm out.
Yeah, literally.
Well, later. Bye.
Yeah.
It was, it's funny because sometimes you think back on things and you're like, was it really that bad? Or am I just exaggerating in my head? I went to an event for Women in Distress, which is an organization that I'm obsessed with. They help single moms who have like no place to go. So I've become more involved with them now. And I heard the stories and I'm like, was it really that bad in the shack? And I went in the car with my operations director, Ashley. She's like my right hand in the business. And I was like, I just want to go back there and just see like if it was that bad. And it was worse than I remember.
Yeah.
I pulled up and I was like, oh my God, how could it actually be worse? Because I think at the time, my situation that I left was that bad. The shack kind of like a little safe haven. And now my life is just like literally a dream.
Yeah.
And I went back to the shack and I was like, how? Like the windows like duct taped. It was just so bad. But it was so good at the same time.
I was about to say, yeah, but a lot of that is it's so good because it gives you something to look back on and see how far you've come, you know? So I look back at some of the places I used to live when I first moved to Miami, and I had this one efficiency, and, you know, it was the type of efficiency where if you're sitting in the bed, you could like brush your teeth, take a dump, and clean your dishes on the plate. Like you could touch everything sitting on the bed. Like the toilet, like it was like being in a prison cell. And then my next door neighbors was an entire, and I'm not exaggerating, an entire Spanish Mexican family. I don't know what it was, but they basically sang Spanish music and cooked every night, loud as hell, like clacking pans, and there had to have been 19 people living in there. Like I'm not exaggerating.
So it was $20 a month in rent.
It was me and Artemis, my very first pit bull, and we lived in this efficiency for a year.
Wow.
We were in this thing. It was $600 a month, and I would walk from 38th and Indian Creek to 13th and Washington. That's where the Crunch Gym was. I would walk to work back and forth with Artemis, back and forth, and that's how I was shredded because all I ate was tuna in a can and almonds, and I walked everywhere. So, and that's how I got most of my clients, because I would walk around with my shirt off everywhere. And so
I feel like I just read that or saw that.
Yeah, I did. I just did a podcast on it, but or it was one of the stories I told on podcast. But it's those. I think it's those moments that keep us humble, also, because no matter how much we accomplish, you don't forget.
No.
You don't forget what you went through. You don't forget what you sacrificed.
Yeah.
And then you're also relatable to those that are now under you.
Yeah.
So for me, when I have staff that complain about money or that say, you know, I don't have this, I don't have that, I can literally give them a real life example of, hey, no, you actually have it pretty damn good.
Yeah.
You're just not applying yourself, and you're not. I hear every time I listen to Gigi, I always think action. Action, action, action. It's always action. It's not telling me something, not saying something. It's physically doing something. And I think that's the difference in most people, and what you get out of life is what you do, not what you talk about.
Yeah.
And that's something that both of y'all have put words into action.
Yeah.
You said what you're going to do, but then you went out and did it.
Yeah.
And that's a great example for young women out there, and mothers and people that are in that dark space where they just can't figure it out, stop waiting, stop wanting, and start doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's
Educate yourself.
Yes.
Never over-educate yourself.
There's so many resources out there now. To your point, you can Google anything, YouTube, Instagram. I mean, it's almost an information overload now. So the excuse of saying you don't know how to do something is bullshit.
No,
like
right.
there's too many ways to learn now.
Like even with the real estate stuff, right? Like I'm in a very, very competitive market, and I have built myself to the point where I know everything. I mean, everything there is to know about Fort Lauderdale, I know it. And it's because the research, just because I've gotten to where I want to be, doesn't mean it stops.
Right.
I actually do more.
Yep.
You know, because I'm like, now what more can I bring to the table? What more can I offer these developers? And I know, you know, I'm at that point that no one's going to do what I do. Like I do it because I know the amount of information that's in my head that talking to any buyer, when you educating them on what you know and what you've learned, like it's game over, you know? And I think that's so important to Stevi's point too, and just in general, like you can never overeducate yourself. Ever. I mean,
and you never stop.
And you never stop. You always, you keep it going, because it just, even on things that you are not interested in doing and you still educate or read a book about something, somehow that's going to come into your life and you're just going to know about it. Whether it's like a conversation I'm having with clients, for example. Like I used to not know anything about the stock market. And then I started educating myself because so many of my clients were like, you know, I don't want to pull out $1 million for deposits. I want to keep it in the stock. And I was like, what is this deal with the stock market? You know, so then I started educating myself and understanding their mentality. So then I could have these educated conversations with them and understand how or what I needed to do to close them. You know what I mean? So I think that it's so important to educate yourself. And with today's like day and age, you can go, if you don't have a phone, you don't have a computer, if you're really at one of those like low places, you can go to a library and use a computer for free. Like there's endless support and endless ways of figuring things out and taking action and again, getting out of the victim mentality to just move forward. You know, like there are no problems, only solutions. You know?
Amen.
I think also too, when you're at a place where you don't have anything to lose, and you don't care what people think. Like I feel like the space where I was at, I was doing headshots, and I started having like a flashback of my corporate days. And like, if my old boss is watching this, I love you. I loved corporate, but it just was not me. I always like tattoos. I like edginess. Like that's why I love the bodybuilding industry. But then being the only woman, I was always like with a dress up to my neck and like super, super serious, you know, like I felt constantly like I could not be my true authentic self.
Yeah.
And I remember doing headshots and I was like, this is boring. And I put on a pink wig and just like, almost like just fuck it, why not? Just pink wig.
Yeah.
And that was Ink Angel. And then I started like posting sexy pictures and like cool quotes and just stories. And then it became kind of like the Ink Angel brand was born of just me sharing little pieces of like my soul, because I truly didn't care what anyone thought about me. No one was going to come rescue me. No one was going to pay my bills. And out of that situation of me just not caring and working really, really, really hard, I was able to kind of almost like birth something that was like really cool and I'm really proud of. And to Gigi's point too about becoming educated in your space, like there's always also someone that's just waiting to take your place. And I think if you come from a space like where you don't have anything and you are at the bottom, you're always going to have a healthy respect that you could wind up back there one day if you don't really, really just stay on top of things.
It's our very first podcast on the container ship, so yeah.
What is the noise? A brain?
I think they're doing work. Oh, it's the rain. Good God Almighty.
It was bad.
It's raining really
Yeah, it's the rain. Well, Stevie, like also hearing you just kind of say that last point. I mean, one thing that stood out to me is like your authentic self was finally like birthed, right? Like who you really were, who you wanted to show the world is now coming out. So I believe that when people show their true authentic self, it's more relatable and it's more likable.
100%.
So then people can relate to it, identify with it, and be like, I want to be a part of that. You know what I mean? I think that's why our gym is so different.
Yeah.
It's because we're not pretending at all. Like we let everyone know exactly who we are, why we're doing what we're doing, how we do it. Like it's laid out. Like from the day you walk in, you know that we're here to work. We're here to support each other. We're here to hold each other accountable. We're here to set an example for those around us. Like it's a mindset, it's an energy, it's an enthusiasm that you feel as soon as you walk in the door. And it doesn't matter which location, like every community kind of has that vibe.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to push back a little bit on what you said. You said not caring. I actually think it's the opposite. I think you finally got to a point where you cared so much about yourself that you were going to do it no matter what. So yes, you didn't care what other people thought, but it's not that you didn't care. You know what I mean? Like, so we have to be careful when we talk like about like this caring thing. Cause a lot of people,
You're right.
you know, are like, I hear it all the time. Like these Instagram posts where people are like, you know, just don't give a fuck, you know, just don't care. Like, and then life's better. Like, no, it's actually, I actually live my life the opposite. I almost care too much. And then by caring so much, I definitely don't care about the naysayers. You know what I mean? Like, because I know where I stand. Like, that's why, like, when obstacles come or when setbacks come or when discrepancies come, like, I'm very confident in my responses because I know what I stand for.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need someone to tell me, like, what I stand for. I know what I stand for. So if you disagree with that, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep this thing going, you know? Like,
I love that.
So, and I think you have built something that you believe in, that you're good at now, that you're looking to scale. I love hearing that you're saying you're now paying it forward. You're now teaching others how to do what you do. And that is the greatest way to scale is like the things that you learn, start pouring that into other people.
Yeah.
And then your business is going to boom. I'm sure Gigi has like little people under her now. Like, you do, right?
What do you mean?
Like little real estate people that you're now molding. Yeah,
people.
Exactly.
A ton of people.
Exactly. Because
Trained a lot of people.
Yes.
I've spoken to so many girls that are like getting into the industry and they're like, what do? I want to get to the level you're at. And I like literally give
mentor them basically.
Exactly.
So, but I think that's something you could do is actually have like a mentorship, you know, program because you're so good at what you do.
Yeah.
You know?
You would kill it. And I think it's so rewarding, like, because it's one thing to teach someone a skill, but then when you teach them how to monetize it, it is so awesome. Because I remember when I trained, the person that trained me was an incredible mentor, but I knew what questions to ask. I knew kind of conceptually how to start a business and market it and get clients. And then now in a position where I'm at now, I hit a point when I was training where I was like, what are these girls gonna do? I don't wanna just take their money and then just like send them out. It didn't feel right. And I truly love training and I find so much joy. Like when someone learns how to tattoo for the first time and then they get it. And then sometimes I'll see a student that is in a situation like I was in, because I remember going to training and just like trying to not cry every day and like just trying to get through the day because I kind of knew what was right around the corner in my life. And I was in this desperate situation where, not desperate, but it was like, this is what I need to make this work. I don't have another option. As much as I'd like to think it's kind of funny that I'm learning how to do brows, like this is my life, you know?
Yeah.
And tattooing was my life.
And it's not funny to me. It's a skill set. Like you just proven that. So
you know what?
You know what I mean? Like a lot of people might say, oh, like she does the brows. Like, oh my God, like so big deal. But if you do it good.
Charge for brows though. I charge $1,300 for brows.
Damn.
I make $1,300 in 2.5 hours. And like,
that's amazing.
I used to charge $0.
Yeah.
So now I look at that and it's like, that's actually really cool.
Is this so I just want to understand. Now I'm kind of curious. $1,300. Like, is that both brows?
Yes.
Or is that just one? Do I get two for that price? And then is it permanent? Is it permanent? Or do you have to like touch it up? How often do they have to get touch-ups?
It depends on their skin. So every 6 months to 12 months.
Okay.
Some can wait like 2 to 3 years. It just
And what's the touch-up cost?
a couple hundred.
Okay.
So I keep my touch-up prices lower, but they only get a touch-up with me if they book their initial session with me.
Okay.
So they can't
I
like
got
go
you.
somewhere else and then
Right.
get a touch-up with me.
Yeah.
Unless you're me. Unless you're Gigi.
That's your
Then you can do that.
the front deal.
Like, I need a touch-up, please. I got you. But yeah, it's a serious business. It's crazy. And I feel like, I'll be tattooing someone on the face and sometimes I'll have moments where I'll like pray over my clients. I've had some clients come in with cancer and I'll just be like tattooing them. Obviously, I'm not charging them $1,300.
Yeah.
But like, I just thank God now, like for every single person. That was, I think also in situations like, when you're living in the efficiency, when I was in the shack, when Gigi was a new single mom, like bartending and just making ends meet, I feel like you also make healthy habits. Like I used to thank God for every client that booked. I still do that. And I feel like there are certain things that you can choose to develop in a moment like that will carry you forward and keep you so grounded when you are in a position where you could get cocky.
Yep. What are some of the, like, let's dive into that a little bit, because I love, oh my God, I can't talk. We are real big on, that country came out of me there a second. We're real big on customer service. It's part of our 6 C's of legacy. And what are some things? So it's funny, like hearing you talk about your business, because I'm married and I have a wife, I hear all these stories, of her eyelash lady, her, laser hair removal lady, like, her nail lady, like, all that. And so as a business owner, you hear these stories, you're like,
You shake your head.
you're like, oh my gosh, how are they running a business like that?
know.
So do you have any advice, pointers on that side of the business? Is there anything unique? And listen, don't worry about sharing, secrets, because trust me,
Openly, yeah.
it doesn't matter. Like some people, trust me, it'll go right over their head and they won't even use it.
No,
and then the people that actually do use it, you're helping. So it's like, it's a win-win.
Ask
But,
all the questions.
But I would love to hear some of your like little customer service things you do that you feel like sets you apart from the average brow lady,
Oh my God, I love it. So on Instagram, that's usually where people find us, is on Instagram.
Okay.
So the second someone follows us, it's myself and 2 girls on my team on our Instagram. And it's a rule. We do not compromise on that rule. We send them a note the second they follow us. We don't have a bot doing it. It's
Personalized.
It's a personalized message.
Love that.
It's the same message. Everyone gets it.
Yeah, but
they
it's still,
literally
you do it
send
personally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for the follow. We specialize in cosmetic tattooing. Let us know if you have any questions. And that starts up a conversation. And my philosophy is, would you allow someone to walk into your gym and not greet them? Like
Exactly.
someone
It's unheard
following
of,
our
right.
page. Now there are so many pages on Instagram. If someone actually is interested enough in our content to hit the follow button, that's a pretty big indicator that they could be a client. They might know a client. It's their first impression. And that has gone so far with our clients and with our students. So that's my number one thing that we do.
Are y'all writing this down, people? So no, but seriously, so one of my biggest things that I teach people is be the first to respond.
Yeah.
So if you have a potential client and they reach out to you, that's what we call a hot lead.
Yeah.
Like respond immediately.
Immediately.
And what I don't understand is so many people, they don't respond.
No.
Or they wait like a week.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And this is what, and I know you know this, if they reached out to you, guess what? They probably reached out to at least 3 other companies. So if you're the first to respond, normally you get the business. But if you are the last to respond, or even the second to last to respond, you're probably not gonna get that customer, because first impressions are everything. All right, number 1, respond quickly. Number 2.
Number 2, I have my team. I feel like it starts with my team. I've been very, very lucky. I have amazing girls. And
You have all female staff?
all female staff.
Love it.
I'm not against having guys.
Yeah.
It just worked out that way.
Even in Fort Lauderdale, it's so surprising. If y'all get that joke. All right. Sorry.
I would honestly love to have a guy.
know,
My
right?
team would be so much fun. But I make sure that my team, I'm very involved with my team. So I give them goals monthly.
Okay.
And it's like no excuses. I break it down. I work it backwards. So I'll be like, hey, here's your goal for the month of July. Here's how we're going to achieve that goal. What do you need from me? I send them a text message every morning with, here's what I want you to post. So we all have uniform posts. I want us to look like we are like a force.
How many girls you have?
3 girls.
3 girls.
Do tattooing. And then me, and then my operations director.
So you have 5 people total.
5 people total.
And everybody's like working as a team.
All the time.
Love it.
20. They have unlimited vacation days. I don't care if they take off because they're always working. If they hit their goal, they could do whatever they want, but they work hard. Like
what
somebody
happens
works for me and they don't work,
they're gone. So that's what I was leaning into. So you have these goals, you have requirements.
Yeah.
What happens if they don't hit?
If they don't hit the goal, we talk about why.
Okay.
You know, like I have a long sales background. So sometimes if someone consistently doesn't hit their goal, it's either a problem with me as a company or them not doing what they need to do to hit that goal. So we'll just have a discussion. And if somebody doesn't hit their goal like 3 months in a row, usually.
So the first step, and again, if I get this wrong, then tell me, because
Oh, you're fine.
I like a lot of things you're saying. So, because it's the same way I view things. We set a goal.
Yeah.
You don't hit your goal. And obviously it's in the first month, okay?
Yeah.
So they're just getting to know your expectations, your goals, your requirements, all this stuff, right? So when someone doesn't hit their goal initially, it's always extreme ownership on me. What I say to myself is, obviously I didn't do my job.
Yeah.
So let's get into that. Did you do this, this, and this? Did I show you this and this? And then a lot of times we did, but then they forgot. So for me, what it is, it's reminding them
Yes.
of what they're supposed to be doing instead of thinking and assuming that they know what to do after the first lesson. Because oftentimes you tell them what to do and they forget, and that's human. That's a normal thing. They don't own it. So they're not gonna feel the way you do about it.
That mentality.
And they're not gonna think about it all. Like, we can't shut it off.
No.
Like, Gigi can't shut off her real estate. You can't shut off Ink Angel. I can't shut off Legacy and No Days Off. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible. Like, it's actually scary how bad, like, we are. Like, we can't.
No.
But we love it. So why would we want to cut it off, right?
Right.
So to go back in that, we make sure that we take the ownership, that we make sure that they know what they're doing. And then second month goes around and then they still don't do it. Then you got to reevaluate. And then I hear you. By the third month, they don't got it. You kind of got to move on. So, and I get that. You know, it's like if you give them all the tools and then they just don't use the tools,
Yeah.
then to me, I always compare it to effort. It's like, show me effort and enthusiasm. And then if you're not getting the results, then there's something missing, you know, and it's probably not going to happen for you.
And I find that if you give your team, like this goes to customer service, where if you give your team goals and clear direction and expectations, and you set a good example yourself, like
Lead by example, exactly.
Yeah, I'm booked out through August and I charge twice as much as they do for browse. So that's kind of where I come into play, is like, okay guys, if I can be fully booked, you definitely can be fully booked. Like there's no excuse. I'm not asking you to do something.
You're not asking them to do anything that you don't do.
Exactly.
I love that.
Twice as much.
Exactly.
So I don't mean twice as, but like for
No, exactly. Right.
So, and then I'm big on giving them all the resources they need. If you need to market, if you need Instagram help, I literally wake up in the morning and part of my morning routine is like, how can I make money today?
Yeah.
And then what information can I provide today? And what can we post as a team today? And usually that all kind of like ties together. So I send them a text message like, girls, post, I'm very particular, post it before and after. Still, this is the caption. If you have something else you want to do, that's fine. But at least they know something to do.
Yeah.
And I noticed that by the time the client walks in, they are held to such a high standard. They're not going to be sloppy. They're not going to be talking about stuff they shouldn't be talking about. They're not going to be showing up late for a client. If we, God forbid, mistakes happen, we will make it right. I have a very open, clear communication line with my team. So if a client's not happy for some reason, we always make it right, like no exceptions.
Have you had any And I mean, I know this is.
Had like that.
Have you had any like real scary moment? Because this is permanent stuff. Have you ever? Have you ever had something?
Oh yeah.
And I'm not trying to laugh, but it is like I can only imagine. Like, have you had like like they did arrows on them or something?
No.
Like teepees?
No. So down stuff. I hold him to such a high standard when it comes to learning.
Yeah.
Like I literally, my rule is 0 mistakes.
Okay.
Like this is like absolutely
Because it's
no mistakes for
face
tattooing.
tattoos.
Yeah, but you also get to sketch it before you actually.
Well, no, I know, but
Sometimes their movie, a client's like talking.
right.
So I've had moments where like, oh my God, the client won't stop talking. And I'm kind
Do you have to tell them to kind of shut up, like basically, like
walk in the room. I'll be tattooing and I'm very like zen with my client. I'm
Right.
like, okay, don't talk. Tattooing you on the face. And then I'll hear, I have an artist, she's going to know who she is when I'm talking about this. She can't tell someone to be quiet for the life of her. If her life was on the line, she would not be able to tell her client.
is she just one of those like she's so sweet that she just can't do it? Yeah.
She can't. So she has this client just like,
That's like Legend here, by the way.
oh,
Legend's like our sweetheart.
oh, okay. So like, I'll say her name. It's Julia, but she knows it. I will literally put down what I'm doing. I'll stop tattooing and I'll walk in the room and I'll be like, listen, you need to be quiet because she's tattooing you on the face and your eyebrows will not stop moving. And if you want one brow up here, one brow down here, you can continue to talk. But like,
You would think
other
they
than
would know that.
And then they stop. No,
Yeah.
they don't though, because they're just like, it's like tattooing a moving target. Like, shut up.
Oh
Well,
my
also
gosh.
when you walk into her studio, it's like
House music, blast
vibe, and the way her studio is like set up, and like the girls are so fun that like you go in there and you're like, girls, night, you know, like it feels so much fun. It feels like a super fun, cool vibe. So I think that immediately like lets people kind of chill and feel like they're in that like environment of like girl talk.
They're excited,
you know, because that's energy that her has. So it's easy to like go in there and just.
Is this strictly cosmetics, or is there regular tattoos goes on?
I started doing tiny tattoos because I love tattooing.
Yeah.
Like I love it, and that's something that
So
I
you
wanted to
personally do
do.
it?
Yeah.
The little
Little
tattoos.
tattoos. But I won't do something on somebody unless I know I can do it well.
Yeah.
Like exceptionally well.
You're right. Yeah.
So yeah, I started
good to
doing
know.
tiny tattoos. I'm thinking about bringing a tattoo artist in because I didn't like the stuffy vibes of a lot of cosmetic tattoo studios.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, everything's like pink and pretty and like perfect. And then we have Ink Angel, and it's like basically like a tattoo shop, old school, like, you know, mixed with cosmetic tattooing.
I love it though.
So I want to do little tattoos.
That's a brand, you know, man. You're doing it different.
It's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, the first thing I was thinking while you were talking was like, you should definitely bring in a high level person, you know,
Definitely.
because they charge like really good tattoo artists charge a fortune. So
A lot of money.
You know?
Yeah. And that.
and if you find somebody like at that high level, which I'm sure you could,
Yeah.
you know, with your reach, like, and then you plug them in, and then now you're making even more money.
I love that. And then I have way more tattoos. I'll just be every day. I'll be like,
now she's like,
tattoo right here.
It's so fun. I love it. Yeah.
When we moved in there, that was another version of the shack. It was so bad. I brought the girls in and like I found, because it was really hard to find a commercial space in Fort Lauderdale, and I outgrew my space.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to find a space. And I just got it in my mind. I had to do it. So I was looking. I became obsessed with it. Found a space, and I walk in, and it looked like an absolute shithole. Like it was so bad. Do you remember how bad it
Called me and she's like, I found a space, and I was like, amazing. And she's like, but it's a little weird looking inside, fixer upper. And she's
Is it standalone or is it?
It's in an older like medical office building.
Okay.
So it's an old doctor's office, but I don't know what the heck they were doing in this doctor's office because it was so dirty,
so outdated.
gross, and outdated.
It was like
so bad.
big brown furniture in there, like just the floors, everything was just like.
Do you have your studio like is there pictures of your studio now? Like online and stuff?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna check that out.
It's literally like I brought the girls in and you could have heard a pin drop. I was like, guys, we have our space, but just wait, it's gonna look amazing. And they all come in and they're like, okay. And I'm like, we're going to do this with the walls. We're going to have a waiting room here. And I could see it in my head. I could almost like when I look at someone's face and they might have messy brows, I could see the brows in my head. It was no different from the space. I could literally see it. And I'm like, you guys just have to trust me. And that was what I really, my team through hell, because they'd be tattooing and I'd be like painting the walls.
She made it so fun though. Like she was like doing little videos on her Instagram. Her like in these weird, in this like white suit, and she's doing like flips on the floor. Like
I bought a painting suit just for the sole purpose to film a dance video because I could like slide around on the floor. And then I was like, I don't care if I get paint on me. I just really want to dance in this thing.
It was so funny. She made it fun, and like she did the whole transformation. It looks so.
That's how I am too. Like hearing you say that is cool because that's how I am with spaces. Like Gigi will tell you when I walk into a space, I see the gym in my head. Almost instantly. Like it's real thick. It's real freaky. Like I saw this that we're sitting in.
This is
a floating container ship, and I saw it. Like
this is so cool.
And I saw it. It looked like the building across the street, like when it was like raw floors and I was walking my dog and I saw this container ship flowing before it was even a building.
Oh my God.
It's so special to have that though. Cause like my job, I literally have to like teach people to have that vision. You know, I have to like educate them so much on the building and the units and this and that it's like selling them a piece of paper basically, you know, and you have to really know it's an art to be able to do that. It really is to be able to have that kind of a vision.
All right. Is there anything that we want to leave the audience with? Anything like, listen, it's your podcast. So
I want to thank you for literally Manning like legacy. Like, cause seriously, when I was going through all those times, the one constant thing was going to the gym every day. And like, I wrote a post about it the other day about when I showed up one day, because it was like a rough couple years and, you know, stuff doesn't always happen the way you want it to be. And I would have highs and lows, and sometimes the lows would just get really, really low. And I would go to the gym and I would like hit that bag and I couldn't hit it because I was worried I'd break my hand and like I wouldn't be able to work. So then I started just kicking the bag. And your team and the environment that you've created made me feel very safe, you know, because like you don't want to go to the gym and have some like douchey trainer like, oh, let me be the shoulder to cry on. Like that's like my worst nightmare.
The creepy trainer. Yeah, let's not be creepy, guys.
No, I don't have anyone like literally. I felt like where I was going was like family, and I think the biggest thing for me is just never compromise your morals. Like there were times I would look at other people like. I'd be like, man, this girl's doing OnlyFans and she's making $50,000 a month. Like, what am I doing? Trying to do eyebrows and I can't even pay my rent?
Right.
But I never compromise. Nothing against girls that do that. Like, it is what it is. But like, for me, that wasn't the way to go.
Yeah.
Don't compromise who you are. Don't compromise your morals. And just stay very consistent. And eventually your life will be whatever you want it to be. Like, my life. I mean, Gigi knows, like, literally a couple years ago, if I knew what I knew then, what I knew now about what my life would look like now, I would just be like, when are we going to go? Like, put me through all the hard things. Like, please, just throw it at me. Because I feel like that, like, I just feel so incredibly blessed and so thankful. And a big part of that was staying consistent, surrounding myself, like, with good people, having good quality friends, and just, like, your gym. Seriously. I go back there now and I just like look at it. I'm like, damn, I remember I used to walk in here crying. Now I'm walking in here and just like feel great.
Well, I mean, and I'm not exaggerating. That is exactly why we do what we do. Exactly. Your story is exactly why I built Legacy, exactly why we harp on community so much.
Yeah.
And we have staff meetings that we're just constantly trying to empower our staff, because if we're not empowering our staff, then they're not going to be able to pour into our members and vice versa. And so hearing you say your essentially like your testimony when it comes to my gyms is humbling, and then also affirming that I'm doing something that matters. I'm doing something that will last longer than me. And that's what Legacy is all about. And so thank you for saying that. It means a lot. And I think that the take home message for me with all of this is reach out, make a decision, and then go after it, and don't go after it. Like, go after it. Be your authentic self and go after it, because if you sit around and wait, life's just going to pass you by and you're going to, play victim, and that never works out. So thank you for today. Y'all check out, is there a website, Ink Angel?
Yeah, we have our Instagram is what I would for people.
What is it?
So it's _Ink Angel.
_Ink Angel. Go support. If you want that little face tattoo, she's the woman to do it. But and Gigi,
A little pimple.
yeah,
I'll give for free for legacy members.
Yeah.
So dope.
that would be huge.
Yeah,
So
totally do that.
awesome. Well, thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right.